Incredible moment revealed, wheelchair-bound CEO finds unexpected heartwarming love at a wedding. Jake Thompson, a fiercely driven 32-year-old CEO, thought he had the world at his feet or wheels, as it were. Just weeks ago, his life was like a high-speed train running on adrenaline. But now, a tragic accident had left him anchored to a wheelchair, redefining his existence. As he rolled through the picturesque streets of his small Midwestern town, the whispers of sympathy and judgment seemed to echo from every corner. Once celebrated for his sharp mind, he was now shunned as someone people didn't know how to navigate around. The weight of societal perceptions felt heavier than his steel wheelchair. Yet, in the midst of it all, his family was his rock. His younger sister's wedding loomed on the horizon, a day filled with hope but also anxiety that choked his heart. The wedding was set to be a grand affair in the town's historic church, adorned with that perfect blend of pastel flowers and ribbons fluttering under the summer sky. Jake envisioned old friends, familiar faces, yet each encounter made him worry they'd see him as less than the man he used to be. He rolled into the venue, feeling exposed. Laughter filled the air, but with each chuckle, his insecurities bubbled up. He felt like a ghost haunting his own life. As the evening unfolded, he caught sight of Emily, a spirited florist bustling through the crowd, her hands weaving together the most beautiful flower arrangements. Her laughter was contagious, cutting through Jake's growing unease like a warm knife through soft butter. He found himself captivated. Their exchanges began awkwardly, a shy smile, a hesitant offer of help, but soon gave way to genuine connection. They shared stories infused with their struggles, dreams, and resilience. Jake realized he saw something in Emily that he desperately needed, a reflection of his own ambition, unmarred by judgments or pity. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but soon, whispers trailed him like shadows, murmurs about their budding relationship wafting through the reception, swirling around like confetti. Jake found himself grappling with insecurities he hadn't expected to surface. Was he good enough for her? Did she really see him as he was, wheelchair and all? Each look from the crowd felt like a spotlight, illuminating his struggles while dimming the joy he found in Emily. Still, they pushed through, their laughter mingling with their feelings, creating a fragile but beautiful bond. As Jake took a moment to breathe, he realized he was standing between two choices: to shrink back into the shadows of societal judgment or to rise against them and claim the love blooming before him. The moment hung thick in the air. Heart racing, he prepared to speak, to share his feelings for Emily with everyone gathered, his heart exposed like never before. What would he say? Could love triumph amidst the perceptions that threatened to consume him? In that charged moment, silence spread, and the question lingered. Would he fight for their love, or let the judgments snuff out the light they shared? Jake took a deep breath, the air thick with anticipation. His mind raced as he locked eyes with Emily across the dance floor. She was radiant, her smile lighting up the room and washing over any insecurities he had. She believed in him, and for the first time since the accident, he felt the stirrings of hope. Emily, Jake started, his voice carrying a tremor of vulnerability. The crowd hushed, all eyes turning toward him. He could feel his pulse quickening, the judgmental whispers he'd long dreaded swirling in his head once more. He glanced at his sister, who beamed with pride and encouragement. This was about more than him, it was about them. He rolled forward slightly, positioning himself like a knight ready to proclaim his intentions. I know what everyone thinks, he continued, the weight of his own truth pressing down on him. I know it's not easy to see me like this. He gestured to his wheelchair, his stomach tightening with fear. But Emily has shown me something I thought I had lost forever. She sees me. Not the wheelchair, not the accident, but the man I am inside. Jake stopped, a lump forming in his throat. The dance floor felt like the last place in the world where he belonged, and yet, with Emily smiling back at him, it was the only spot where he wanted to be. I've been battling so many doubts, afraid that people would judge me or think I'm not enough. But Emily makes me feel like I am. The room was still. A few teary-eyed faces scattered throughout the crowd caught his glance, friends, family, even strangers who could feel the raw sincerity of his words. I don't want to hide anymore, he declared, his heart lifting as he spoke those words. I want to embrace life, and I want Emily by my side. So I'm choosing to fight. Without thinking, Jake reached for Emily's hand across the distance that had started to close between them, her fingers intertwined with his, and he could feel the warmth radiating from their connection. The giggles turned to gentle murmuring as people grasped the moment unfolding before them. Was it possible that love could rise above all the fears and judgments? Could their bond survive the wheelchair, the whispers, and all? The rallying emotion building in the room turned electric, sparking warmth in Jake's heart. For the first time since his accident, he felt liberated. Will you be my partner in this crazy ride called life? Jake finally asked, vulnerable and exposed. Will you stay with me and accept this journey, not just the good parts, but everything? Emily, eyes glistening, took a small step toward him. Always, Jake, she whispered, her voice barely audible but filled with such strength that he couldn't help but smile. The crowd erupted into applause, cheers echoing off the high ceilings. Jake felt a rush of exhilaration. This was not just a declaration of love, it was a celebration of life, of hope, and of transformation, but just as the moment reached its peak, an unexpected figure broke through the throng. Jake's former business partner, James, looking incredulous. The sight of him sent an icy wave of anxiety through Jake. What could he possibly want now? As James approached, the jovial atmosphere faded slightly, tension creeping back in. Jake's heart sank as he sensed that everything might not be so simple. Jake, James began, no warmth in his tone. I think we need to talk, and just like that, Jake's moment of triumph hung in the balance. What could this mean for him and Emily? Did old connections carry deeper ties than he thought? James's presence was like a thundercloud rolling in, darkening the vibrant atmosphere that Jake had just fought so hard to create. The applause faded into an awkward silence, the crowd now shifting nervously, sensing the tension. Jake could feel the warmth of Emily's hand slipping as she instinctively sought to support him, but there was an air of uncertainty hanging between them. Really, James? Here. The words slipped out of Jake through clenched teeth, a mix of disbelief and frustration flooding his veins. He hadn't expected to see him today, let alone in this moment. You couldn't have picked a better time? James shrugged, his face a mask of indifference. I didn't come here to ruin the party, but we need to sort things out. It's about the business and you. The mention of business felt jarring against the backdrop of Jake's emotional declaration. This day was meant for joy, for new beginnings. He didn't want to think about the boardroom now, nor the deal that had gone south before his accident, a deal that had essentially cost him everything. What do you mean by that? Jake asked quietly, almost trying to maintain a semblance of composure. James glanced around, as if measuring the impact of his words against the festive decor and the clinking of glasses all around him. I'm sorry, but the company isn't doing well. With you out, the investors are getting restless. They want a real leader. Someone who can run things effectively, not from a wheelchair. A chill ran down Jake's spine. Those words hit harder than any physical blow. He felt a lump swell in his throat, the fire of his earlier triumphs snuffed out almost instantly. The cheers of celebration faded into whispers. Could he really be a leader? Could he rise above this doubt? Emily's grip tightened around his hand, her voice full of defiance. Jake is more than just a wheelchair, James. He is the heart of that company. He faces challenges every day and still manages to lift everyone around him. You, of all people, should know that. James's gaze met Emily's, and with a scoff, he waved her off. It's not about sentiment. It's business. Jake felt the weight of James's words pushing him down. He wanted to scream that he was still here, still fighting. But as James spoke, the shadow of fear creeped back, fear that he was losing not just his company but his place in the world. Taking a deep breath, Jake tried to find his strength again. My worth as a leader doesn't come from my body. I can still steer the ship. If anything, my challenges give me a perspective that's needed. The crowd's murmurs resumed, sensing the shift. Some were nodding in agreement, but Jake could see others squirming uncomfortably. What would happen if he failed? Could he be that dynamic leader again, or had his accident diminished all he had built? Stay away from my life, James. Jake's voice was firmer, standing tall in his chair. You don't get to decide how I lead or who I become because of this. James chuckled, but it held no warmth. You can pretend as long as you want, Jake. Just remember, not everyone will be as forgiving. With that, James turned and disappeared into the crowd, leaving a tight knot of anxiety in Jake's chest. Emily stepped closer, her eyes searching his. Jake, you're not alone. Just remember that. But doubt gnawed at him. Had this confrontation shattered the new bond they were just starting to build? Could they overcome the whispers from the past? The applause felt distant now. Jake looked into Emily's eyes, searching for reassurance. Would she stand by him through this storm? Would they both embrace whatever came next, or would the weight of the past pull them apart? His heart raced as another figure approached his sister, her face a mixture of concern and pride. Jake, she began, but he only half listened, lost in thought. He could either fold or fight for both his love and legacy. But what if the stakes were higher than he anticipated? What if, in this quest for acceptance, he was about to lose his only chance at happiness? The dance floor had awakened something inside him, but could he keep that fire burning amidst the chaos? Jake sat there, heart pounding, as if each beat were a war cry against the doubts that James's words had stirred within him. The party around him faded into a blur, laughter and clinking glasses becoming a distant echo. All he could see was the uncertain gaze of his sister and the fierce support mirrored in Emily's eyes. Then, she leaned in closer, lowering her voice to a near whisper. Jake, you need to know something. Your strength isn't in what you've lost, but in what you still have, the ability to inspire, to lead, to show everyone that life doesn't stop when the world throws a curveball your way. Feeling the weight of her words sink in, Jake finally broke the chain of his own doubts. Maybe I need to show them that. Maybe James thinks he has the upper hand, but he doesn't know what it means to face challenges head-on. Emily nodded, conviction sparking in her eyes. Exactly. Let them see you fight, let them witness your resilience. You've always had it in you. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the fire inside him rekindle, igniting a new resolve. You really believe that? I know it, she replied fiercely. But you have to want it too. As whispers of the crowd fluctuated around them, Jake's focus shifted. He could almost hear them talking, their voices blending as they weighed his worth against his physical limitations. What did they know about the battles he fought daily? What did they care about his journey? He pushed back against the tide of doubt. Let them talk. They don't understand. I'm still Jake. And I can do this. I have to do this. Jake's voice grew steady as he spoke the words aloud, claiming them like a personal mantra. His sister reached out, squeezing his shoulder. We're with you. We always will be. Just remember, this moment is bigger than you and your business. It's about who you are and who you want to be. Jake smiled weakly, feeling some of that pressure relent, only to realize it was time to step out of the shadows. He needed to address the crowd, to tell them he was still capable, that he was still in control. Can I borrow this for a moment? He murmured to his sister, nodding toward the microphone set up near the stage, now momentarily forgotten in the chaos surrounding them. Jake, are you sure? She asked, a hint of worry creeping into her voice. He took another deep breath, looking from her to Emily and finally to the crowd, people who had come to celebrate him. "I have to," he confirmed, his voice unwavering. With a steadiness he didn't quite feel, Jake wheeled himself toward the stage. Each movement was calculated, each turn of his wheels deliberate as the crowd quieted down, their eyes drawn to him. As he reached the microphone, Jake paused for a moment, scanning those faces that had once heralded him: friends, family, associates. It dawned on him that they weren't here to judge him, they were here because they had seen him at his best. "Thank you all for being here today," he started, his voice shaky but gaining confidence with each word. "Today is about celebration and new beginnings." He felt a surge of warmth. "But it's also about resilience and what it means to truly lead." A ripple of anticipation washed over the crowd at his bold declaration. Jake continued, pouring his heart into every word he said. "I might be facing challenges that are, yes, beyond what many of you can imagine. But I'm still here, ready to steer this company and my life in a direction we can all be proud of." With each moment, he shed the weight of James's doubt, trading it for the unwavering support from those who loved him. The cheers began to rise again, filling the space with renewed energy. Then, before he could stop himself, he grinned at Emily standing among the crowd, and he realized this was also a declaration of his love for her, a love that had grown even amid chaos. Just then, Jake sensed the familiar flutter of fear creeping back in. What if he wasn't enough? What if even this moment didn't silence all the doubts? But another thought swiftly chased it away: it was okay to be scared. It was okay to embrace vulnerability. The applause filled his ears, a percussion of hope against the storm he faced. But then the applause turned to murmurs, the tone sharpening as someone from the back shouted, "Let us see what you can really do, Jake." Jake's heart dropped. The challenge hung in the air like a weight, and he felt Emily's intense gaze burning into him. The crowd's energy shifted, and he realized that the night was far from over. This was just the beginning of something even greater, and Jake knew he was about to face a moment of truth that would either solidify his vision or shake his resolve to its core. Could he truly stand up to what awaited him? Could he prove to everyone, including himself, that he was still their leader? The stakes were rising, and he could feel the thrill of the unknown pushing him forward. But could he meet the challenge head-on and not just fight but actually win? Jake stared out at the crowd, their murmurs intertwining with the pulse of his racing heart. They were hungry for something more: validation, inspiration, maybe even entertainment. It was a dangerous mix, but beneath that pressure, he felt a flicker of clarity. This was not just about him. It was about what he could share, how he could turn his struggles into something real, something relatable. "Okay," he thought as he steadied himself. "Let us show them who Jake is." Taking a deep breath, he leaned closer to the microphone. "You want to see what I can do?" he called out, his voice growing stronger, resonating through the hall. "Let us give them a show, then." With that proclamation, he wheeled himself away from the microphone, the crowd's anticipation swelling. He didn't have an elaborate plan in mind, but he knew he had to connect not just with words but with action. He glanced to the side, where a makeshift stunt area had been set up for some light-hearted activities. A few people had rigged a small ramp for demonstrations, a playful challenge in the spirit of fun. Jake felt a spark ignite within him. "Game on," he whispered to himself. As he navigated slowly toward the ramp, excitement bubbled in the crowd. Laughter and cheers began to erupt, fueled by the mutual energy of the moment. The need to impress transformed into a deeper desire to share his journey with this group that once again had become his family. "Let us see if I can turn this wheelchair into something special," he shouted, drawing cheers and laughter in return. With concentration, he positioned his chair at the base of the ramp. Memories flashed through his mind: times he fell, times he fought to regain what was lost, all the late nights spent in therapy. This moment wasn't just about proving himself to the crowd. It was a personal statement that his life was still his own, challenges and all. As he pushed off, the wheels spun perfectly, carrying him up the ramp with surprising speed. The thrill of adrenaline washed over him as he hit the apex, and for a brief moment, he felt weightless, as if flying, Jake landed smoothly, the crowd erupting in applause. Their voices mingled with the fast pace of his heartbeat, lifting him higher. But this was just a warm-up, he had an idea that was bigger. "All right, folks," he called, beaming with confidence. "Is that all you've got? I can do better." Gritting his teeth, Jake prepared for another run, this time adding a twist. He had modified the chair slightly, adjusting it for speed. This wasn't just for show, it was a testament to what determination looked like. He launched himself again, this time aiming for a small jump that had been set up as part of the demonstration. It was risky, a thrill that could either inspire awe or catapult him into failure. Jake took a moment, visualizing his landing, embracing the fear swelling in his chest, fueling his momentum. He rocketed down the ramp. As he soared over the jump, he felt time pause. Always a risk-taker, always hungry for more, it was who he was, and nothing could change that. He landed with a thud, the chair rolling smoothly, and, well, stuck the landing. The crowd erupted into cheers, and he couldn't help but smile wide, feeling the joy that surged through the hall. But just before he could bask in the glory, the challenge echoed in his mind again. This wasn't complete yet. Jake looked toward Emily, who was now beaming, pride lighting up her eyes. If only she knew how deeply her faith had fueled him tonight. "Okay, one more for my biggest fan," he declared, glancing at Emily. But just as he was about to go again, the crowd quieted down, James stepping forward, a smirk lingering on his face. "That was impressive, but let us see if you can do it under real pressure, Jake. How about a race?" The challenge was real, and the stakes were higher than before. Jake felt the weight of uncertainty creep back in, suddenly aware of all the eyes searching him for weakness. Was he truly ready for this, or was this all just bravado? The room fell silent, every breath suspended in anticipation. Could he rise to the occasion once more? Could he handle what was about to happen next? Jake clenched his fists, feeling the energy surge through him once again. This was his moment, and he wasn't going to back down. But as doubts swirled, only one question burned in his mind: could he win, not just for the crowd but for himself? Jake's heart pounded like a drum, the air around him crackling with tension. A race? The thought sent a thrill down his spine, mixed with a wave of anxiety. He had fought hard to regain control over his life. The idea of racing sparked both fear and excitement. James was no slouch. Their rivalry was well known, woven into the fabric of their friendship. Jake could practically hear the crowd's heartbeat, waiting with bated breath, their exhilaration mingling with the doubt pulling at him like a heavy anchor. "Are you scared, Jake? Or just going to show us what you're made of?" James taunted, his grin widening. That it was a challenge, no doubt about it. Jake needed to readjust his focus. No matter the outcome, this was not just a test of skill, it was a showcase of everything he had fought through. "I've got to do this," he thought. "It's not just for them, it's for me." In a fluid motion, he spun his wheelchair around to face the crowd again. "I'm in. But let us make it interesting," Jake shouted, adrenaline pumping. "First one to the other end of the hall and back wins." The crowd roared with approval, their support like a warm blanket around him. He could feel Emily's eyes on him, her encouragement bolstering his courage. "Let us set the pace then," James retorted, locking his eyes with Jake's, a fierce determination reflected in them. They took their places at the starting line, Jake at one end, James at the other. The tension swelled, and all Jake could hear was the thundering of his own heart. "On the count of 3. A young man shouted, raising his arm. 1, 2, 3, the world blurred around Jake as he pushed with all his might, the wheels spinning and racing forward as if they had minds of their own. He could feel the rush of speed, the adrenaline flooding his system. It was just him and the pushing force behind each turn of the wheels, the momentum driving him forward, faster, harder, and there was James, neck and neck with him. They were so close he could almost feel the rush of wind from his chair. Jake dug deeper. He leaned into his chair, gripping the handles, determined to let nothing, no fear, no doubts hold him back. The crowd's cheers faded into a rhythmic background noise, the only thing in focus was the finish line beckoning up ahead. Suddenly, Jake felt the chair tilt slightly. A flicker of panic surged through him. Focus! He reminded himself, fighting the instinct to slow down. But James was right beside him. They were pushing each other, and in that moment, Jake felt his strength grow, his spirit igniting with every push, every bump of the wheels against the floor. This was not just a race, it was a representation of all he had overcome, the testament to everything he had become. As they approached the finish line, energy surged through him like electricity. This was a battle he could win, not just for the crowd or even for James but for himself. I am more than my challenges. I am alive, and I am here. With a final burst of effort, Jake shot forward, his heart racing with exhilaration. The finish line came into view, and with an instinctively fierce push, he crossed it first. Cheers erupted, echoing off the walls like the sound of crashing waves. Jake could barely believe it. He turned slowly, his breath coming in heavy gulps. James, still catching his breath, offered his fist for a bump. Nice job, man. You really killed it, he laughed, and there was genuine admiration behind his voice. Jake couldn't help but grin. When he looked around, he saw Emily beaming, her joy brighter than the lights overhead. In that moment, the weight of the world felt lighter. But as he savored his victory, something gripped him, an unexpected twist of fate. He had won the race, yes, but it was revealing something more profound. The crowd now felt like a family, each face a reminder of the journey. However, a surge of loneliness cut quietly through that joy. He wanted to share this moment with her, to weave their stories together. Just as he let the rush of triumph wash over him, Emily approached, and something inside him flickered with anticipation. Her smile spoke volumes, and he realized he was ready for more than just racing. Jake, she said softly, her eyes shining like stars. Can we talk? He searched her gaze, feeling a wild blend of hope and uncertainty. What did she want to say? Did his victory mean something to her too? What revelations lay just outside this racing moment? Before she could continue, the atmosphere shifted again like a breeze, hinting at an unexpected transformation just around the corner. What would this new chapter hold? Jake felt the flutter of anticipation tightening in his chest. Emily's voice carried a warmth that made the frenzy of the race feel distant, distant as a fading storm. She stepped closer, her presence calming the electric pulse still coursing through him. He nodded, urging her to continue, his heart both racing and tender. Jake, I've been thinking, she began, her cheeks slightly flushed. You were incredible out there. I've seen you fight to reclaim your life, and it's really inspiring. A soft blush crept up Jake's face. He turned his gaze to the ground, not ready to handle the weight of her words. Thanks, I just wanted to prove I could still do it, he muttered, the crowd still buzzing around them. But it's more than that, Emily pressed, her fingers gesturing emphatically. It's about your spirit, you know. You push through every challenge, and I wish I could be brave like you. Jake felt something shift within him. Her admiration was like a spark catching on dry wood. Bravery isn't about never being scared, he said, searching for the right words. It's about doing things despite the fear. I've learned that the hard way. Emily's expression deepened, her dark eyes locking with his. I want to be there for you, Jake. Not just as a friend. There was a nervous tremor in her voice, but the determination burned bright. I want to see you succeed, not just in races, but she hesitated, biting her lip, in everything. The words hung between them, fragile yet potent. Could it be that she felt something more? Just then, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd, breaking the weight of the moment. Jake blinked, the noise crashing around him like waves. It snapped him back to reality. Friends and familiar faces, the warmth of their camaraderie felt so alive, but the reality of what Emily had hinted lingered in the background, demanding his attention that he took a deep breath, worry gnawing at him. What if I fail? What if I let you down, or Jake? Emily cut in sharply, her eyes fierce now, igniting the soft air between them. You won't know unless you try. You've already proven you can fight. I believe in you. His heart surged with a mix of hope and doubt. He felt the wall he'd built around himself start to crack. It's just. I'm not used to letting people in. It's scary. Emily's gaze softened like the morning light seeping through a curtain. I get that. I do. But isn't it worth the risk? You're not alone anymore. Jake felt the community around him, their faces filled with support and love. It was the same energy that had propelled him forward on the track. Could he take that leap? He opened his mouth to say something, anything, when suddenly, a voice called out from the crowd. Hey, Jake. Emily. Are you two going to join us for pizza? We're celebrating. The moment stretched as Jake looked at Emily, her hopeful smile urging him on. Pizza. A casual outing with friends and an opportunity to share a moment with her. But more than that, it felt like a chance to start something new, something he wasn't quite ready for but craved nonetheless. Sure. Let us go, Jake replied, his voice stronger than he felt. Surging with courage, he turned to Emily and, with a playful twinkle in his eye, added, let us see if we can score some extra slices along the way. As they rolled toward the crowd, he felt a flicker of excitement overshadowing his fears. But something still nagged at him, a question lingering in the air like an unsung note. Would he truly embrace not just this friendly gathering, but also whatever possibilities lay ahead with Emily? As they joined the throng of cheerful voices, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. What awaited him on this newfound path? Would he be brave enough to fully open his heart? And as laughter spilled over them like fireworks, Jake couldn't help but wonder, was he ready to risk it all for love? The noise grew louder as Jake and Emily made their way through the crowd, the aroma of melted cheese and fresh toppings wafting in the air. Laughter bubbled around them, mingling with excitement, and for a moment, Jake felt a buoyancy he hadn't experienced in months. It was just pizza, but it felt like so much more, a leap into the unknown. They found their friends gathered around a table, plates stacked high with pizza slices and drinks clinking together. Jake's heart thudded with a mix of happiness and anxiety as they joined in the festivities. Conversation flowed easily, the joy infectious as teammates regaled each other with stories from the race, but while voices rose and fell, Jake's attention drifted back to Emily. She was effortlessly captivating, laughing easily with others, her eyes sparkling with warmth. There was a lightness to her he hadn't fully appreciated until now. And yet, he felt an invisible wall between them, raised by hesitations he couldn't shake off. Jake! You good, man? Shouted Aaron, his fellow racer. You look like you've seen a ghost. Jake forced a smile. Just thinking, he replied, trying to mask the tumult inside. Emily leaned closer, her voice softening just for him. It's okay to enjoy this, you know. You've earned it. Her genuine sweetness wrapped around him like a cozy blanket, making it hard to resist the pull of her affection. He nodded, trying to swallow the heavy lump of uncertainty lodged in his throat. There were layers to peel back, feelings threaded tightly together, and the thought of unraveling them scared him. What if what he felt was just a passing phase? What if he ruined whatever fragile connection they shared? But then Emily reached for his hand, a brief touch that sent jolts of warmth racing through him. Jake, let us talk later. Just you and me. Her eyes held a promise, a whisper of something deeper. The world around them dimmed as his focus locked onto her. Yeah, I'd like that. His voice trembled with hope, excitement threading through his veins. The evening slipped away in bursts of laughter and shared stories, but time had a way of creeping, making moments linger longer than expected. When the table started to empty, whispers of their next adventure filled the air as friends made plans to meet up again. Jake's heart quickened. This was it, the moment he had been waiting for. They stood up together, but as they did, a shadow crossed Jake's mind. What if this wasn't just about pizza? What if opening up led him down a path he wasn't prepared to travel? Hey, let us find somewhere quieter, he suggested. He needed a moment, but more than that, he needed to see where this connection could lead. Emily's smile brightened, and she nodded, guiding him through the throng. They found a quiet spot at the edge of the festivities, beneath strings of twinkling lights. The air felt charged, and for the first time, he didn't want to pull away from her. He wanted to lean in, to share the parts of himself he carefully guarded. Jake, Emily began, her voice barely a whisper. The sincerity in her gaze made his heart race. He held his breath, waiting for her to continue. Did she mean to confess feelings, hopes, or fears? And what about his own? The boundaries between fear and hope blurred, leaving him dizzy with possibility, but just as the moment tightened around them, a shout erupted from the crowd. Jake! Come join us for karaoke. The moment shattered like glass, leaving behind the question that held them both captive. Would he be able to face his demons? Jake turned to Emily, their eyes locking once more. The invitation loomed ahead, but so did the risk of stepping back into a space where he might have to face everything he had feared. Should we? He asked, his voice catching in his throat. Emily's expression showed the same uncertainty he felt. Behind them, the laughter continued, but here, tension stretched like a bowstring, ready to snap. Let us do it, together, she said, a brave smile breaking through. No backing down now. Would he finally let go of the past and truly welcome what lay ahead with Emily? The question hung in the air, heavy but charged with potential. As they turned to head toward the karaoke stage, Jake felt that familiar tension pull him forward. But now there was a flicker of hope, waiting to be ignited in the spotlight. What song would they choose? What would it reveal? Would they embrace this new chapter together, or would doubts dance around them like shadows? With each step, the answer felt closer, yet what lay ahead still held a flicker of uncertainty. Jake's heart raced, and he wondered if he was ready to shine. The karaoke stage buzzed with energy as Jake and Emily approached, the vibrant lights swirling above them like a whirlwind of hopes and fears. Friends cheered, a raucous mix of voices urging them to take the microphone, like the stage was a sacred portal for the truths they both held inside. Have you ever sung in front of a crowd? Jake asked, his nervousness palpable. He could feel the weight of eyes scanning them, and the thought of sharing a piece of himself through song both thrilled and terrified him. Once, Emily said, her grin widening. It was awful, but fun. Just a way to let loose. Her laughter was contagious, and in that moment, he felt a bit of his tension slip away. Okay, let us do this then. He took a deep breath. What do you want to sing? Before she could answer, Aaron yelled from the crowd, you two should do Shallow. Perfect duet. Jake's stomach flip-flopped. That song. The lyrics were heavy with emotion, a duet of longing and vulnerability. It mirrored everything he felt but was afraid to say. Why not? Emily's eyes sparkled, a challenge mixed with encouragement. I mean, we're already here. Let us dive in. And so they did. The music started, a soft melody drifting through the gathered crowd. As Jake stepped up to the microphone, the room fell quiet, his heart pounding like a bass drum. In that stillness, he caught Emily's gaze. She nodded, and he felt a rush of courage. As they sang, their voices intertwined, each note carrying the weight of dreams and fears they'd both been holding back. Jake poured everything into his part. Lines about vulnerability and the desire for connection flowed from him, raw and real. His heart ached, but in an exhilarating way, being open like this felt freeing. Emily filled in her parts with grace, her voice bright and clear. She sang of wanting to escape, of facing the depths of heartache and hope. With each lyric, the invisible wall between them began to crumble, piece by piece. As they reached the climax of the song, he glanced at her, and all he could see was determination illuminated by the stage lights. It sparked something in him. They were sharing something profound, something that transcended just having fun. They were connecting, truly connecting. When the final notes faded, silence enveloped them for a heartbeat before the crowd erupted into cheers and applause. He could hardly believe what had just happened. The energetic thrill of celebration, mixed with the tender vulnerability of their performance, left him breathless. "That was amazing!" Emily exclaimed, her cheeks flushed with excitement as she stepped closer. Jake felt the weight of reality crash back down, the fear creeping in. What if I messed it up? What if they think we were just silly? She looked at him earnestly. But we were real. You were open. That's what matters. He pondered her words, the warmth in her voice igniting a spark. Would it really be possible to let go of his fears? To explore this connection? Come on, let us celebrate. Emily grabbed his hand and led him back into the crowd, laughter around them. But as they mingled, Jake's mind was racing with unspoken questions. Was he ready to explore more than just friendship? Did he dare to dream of a future that involved someone who made him feel alive? The night wore on, filled with dancing and joy, but beneath that joy was a current of anticipation and fear. Jake's thoughts churned as he watched Emily chat with others, the glow of the night wrapping around them both. The moment felt fragile, yet somehow primal, urging him to take a risk. What would he say if he had the chance to voice what was growing inside him? Would he be brave enough to take that next step? As the festivities swirled around them, he could feel the horizon of possibility stretching out before him, and he knew one thing: he needed to know, was he ready to embrace whatever this connection with Emily could become? The night felt alive, each laugh and cheer a pulse in the air surrounding Jake and Emily. They stood together, caught in a tapestry of sound and color, yet all he could sense was Emily, the way she sparkled in the glow of laughter, the flicker of her gaze, so full of possibility. For the first time since the accident, it wasn't just about his challenges. It was about shared dreams, shared hope. Let's take a walk, Jake suggested suddenly, a surge of courage powering his voice. The festive hum faded momentarily as Emily tilted her head, curiosity lighting her eyes. He motioned toward a quieter corner, a small patio outside filled with the scent of blooming flowers. Jake pushed his wheelchair along the path, feeling the cool breeze brush his skin. Right beside him, Emily walked closely, their shoulders almost touching. So that was quite a performance back there, he joked lightly, his heart racing. You might just steal my spotlight. Emily laughed softly, the sound warming him. Only because you let me. They rounded the corner, finding a cozy nook with fairy lights twinkling above. The moon hung low, casting a gentle glow. Jake took a deep breath, steeling himself for what he wanted to say. Emily, he started, turning to face her fully. Can we talk, just us? There was weight in the air, a tension that both excited and terrified him. She met his gaze, her expression turning serious yet inviting. Absolutely. I've never been good with sharing myself, he confessed, his voice cracking a little. But tonight, something shifted. Seeing you out there. I felt alive again, and not just because of the race. Her smile was small but full of understanding, encouragement radiating through her. Jake, you're incredible. You fought so hard to find your place again. That's what inspires people, including me. Jake felt the knot in his stomach tighten. And I want to inspire you. But there's so much fear surrounding me. What if I fail again? What if I mess this up? Emily stepped closer, her hand wrapping around his. You won't know unless you try. It's not about perfection, it's about connection, courage, letting someone in, she said softly. He felt the warmth of her grip seep into him. I've spent so long pushing people away, afraid they'd see me as broken. Now I'm not just trying to reclaim my life, I'm finding out who I want to be with someone else in it. Emily's eyes sparkled as she took a breath, and he knew she understood. You're not broken, Jake. And being with you, that's something I want too, if you'll let me. The words stirred something powerful within. Jake's heart raced, resonating with every ounce of hope he had buried within. I want to let you in, really in, he murmured. This feels like a leap I'm willing to take if you are. He could see her searching his gaze, and then she leaned closer, her voice a whisper, I am. I really am. The moment enveloped them like a promise. It wasn't just a confession, it was a pledge, a commitment to each other, to face the struggles ahead together. A bold move against everything that had once held them back. Jake felt freed in a way he hadn't anticipated, as if the chains of doubt that bound him had shattered. Laughter erupted in the distance, blending with the soft sounds of the night. They stepped into the glow of the patio lights, and Jake noticed the twinkle in Emily's eyes, something electric, something bright, something alive. Let us go back, he suggested with renewed confidence. So we can celebrate, together. And as they returned to the thrumming heart of the gathering, he felt her hand squeeze his tight, as if they were already embarking on the adventure of a lifetime. He wasn't just a wheelchair-bound CEO anymore, he was a man ready to embrace love, vulnerability, and joy. Jake turned to Emily and smiled, radiant, hopeful. He knew that life, with all its challenges, could still be bright. Together, they were stepping into the unknown, and that uncertainty was more beautiful than he ever could have imagined. This was just the beginning. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your engagement makes a difference, I promise. Comment with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Did it touch your heart? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand how important your actions are for our community.